In the year 448 AD, a man walked out of the shadows of Mount Payan and into a world that should have been dead. He was hungry. His clothes were torn and dusty, and his eyes were wide with a confusion that looked like madness. He moved through the streets of Ephesus like a man walking through a dream. The architecture was familiar, yet alien. The faces were the same, yet the fashion was wrong. He finally found a baker, handed over a heavy silver coin to pay for bread, and waited. But the baker didn't give him bread. He gave him a look of pure terror. The coin featured the sharp profile of Emperor Decius. The problem? Decius had been dead for nearly 200 years. To the people in the market, this man wasn't a traveler. He was a ghost holding the money of a ghost empire. They suspected he had found a buried treasure from the forgotten age, but the truth was far more impossible. This man hadn't found gold. He had found a rift in time. To understand how 7 men vanished for 3 centuries, we have to look at the shadows of the past. The year was 250 AD, the Roman Empire at its most brutal. Emperor Decius had issued a law that shook the world. Every citizen was forced to publicly sacrifice to the old Roman gods. This meant more than just a ceremony. It was a loyalty test. Citizens had to burn incense or offer meat to statues of Jupiter or the emperor himself to prove they were true Romans. For those who believed in only one god, this was an impossible choice. Refusal was seen as treason, and the punishment was often death. It was an era where the statues of Rome demanded total control over the souls of the people. In the city of Ephesus, 7 young men, noble, respected, and firm in their faith, refused to bow. They weren't soldiers fighting with swords. They were rebels of the heart. They were given a few days to change their minds and take back their words. Instead of giving up their faith, they gave away their money to the poor and walked towards the mountains, leaving the shadows of the city behind. They didn't seek a fight, they sought a place to hide. They entered a cave on the mountain, a place they thought would be temporary shelter. As they knelt in the prayer, leaving their lives in the hands of the divine, a heavy supernatural sleep fell over them. This wasn't the sleep of the tired. It was a deep pause, as if time itself stopped moving for their bodies. The Roman soldiers tracked them to the mountain. When the emperor heard they were hiding in the cave, he didn't send soldiers to capture them. He didn't want to make them martyrs. Instead, he sent workers to seal the cave with massive stones. He intended to bury them alive as a warning to anyone else who dared to defy him. He thought he had ended their story. He didn't realize he had just protected it. He thought he was building a tomb, unknowingly that he was actually building a time capsule. While the men slept, they were not alone. Ancient Christian records and the text from Quran mentions a dog that accompanied them. This dog, named Qitmir in many traditions, sat at the entrance of the cave with his paws stretched out. The accounts say that anyone who tried to look into the cave was struck with a strange, overwhelming fear. The dog sat so still and the cave looked so daunting that people stayed away. The mountain itself seemed to guard these secrets. For 300 years, the cave became a blind spot in the eyes of the empire. It was hidden in plain sight, protected by a silence that no army could break. Now, we must look at the physical reality of their 309-year stay. According to the Islamic Holy Book, chapter 18, The Cave, a detail is mentioned that interests modern thinkers. It says, "And you would have thought them awake while they were asleep, and we turned them to the right and to the left." Now, why the turning? From the medical perspective, if a body remains perfectly still for years, the skin breaks down and the body begins to rot against the ground. This turning was a way to keep their bodies preserved and healthy. Furthermore, the text described the sun veering away from the cave's opening. This ensured that the light never touches them directly, keeping the cave at a perfect cool temperature. They were being kept in a natural vault, protected from the decay of the heat and the light. Looking at the precision of how they were turned to preserve their skin, do you think this was a localized suspension of time or something even more complex? Let me know your theory in the comments, because the science here is as baffling as the miracle. For 3 centuries, the world above them changed completely. Empires fell, the Roman capital moved to Constantinople, and the very faith they were once haunted for became the official religion of the government. The stones at the mouth of the cave eventually crumbled over time, worn down by the elements. When the 7 men finally opened their eyes in 448 AD, they felt nothing but the stiffness of a long nap. They looked at each other and assumed they had only slept for few hours. They joked about how late it was getting and how they needed to get back to work. Hunger drove them to send one of their own back into the city. He walked into the Ephesus expecting to find Roman guards waiting to arrest him. Instead, he found a city where people openly prayed to the same God as he did. The shadows had been replaced by the light. When the man reached the baker, the word shifted. The silver coin he held out was an ancient relic. To the people of 448 AD, that coin was as old as a coin from 1700s would be to us today. The baker thought he was a treasure hunter. The authorities thought he was a spy. They dragged him before the governor and the bishop. His defense was simple.
"I am not a thief. I was here yesterday. We are hiding from Emperor Decius."
The room went silent. The name Decius was only found in dusty history scrolls. The leaders realized they were not dealing with criminals. They were dealing with a living miracle. Men who had outlived their own history. This story isn't just found in one place. While it is central to the Islamic Holy Book Quran, it was also written down by Christian historians like Jacob of Saruk and Gregory of Tours long before the rise of the later empires. It was a story that united the East and the West. The news reached the Emperor Theodosius II. At the time, many people were arguing about whether the soul truly lived on after death. The emperor saw the awakening of these men as a sign. He traveled to Ephesus personally to see them. He didn't find shadows. He found real, virtuous men who spoke with the wisdom of the past. Their presence proved to the people of that time that there was more to life than what the eyes can see. They were living evidence of a reality beyond the physical world. But their stay in the modern world was short. They had fulfilled their purpose as soon as their message was delivered and the people were at peace. The deep sleep called them back. They didn't pass away in a way we usually think. They lay back down in their cave, and as the emperor watched, they returned to their long rest. The emperor didn't seal the cave with stones this time. He honored it. He built a large monument and a place of prayer over the site, turning their hiding place into a symbol of hope. The site became a famous spot for travelers from all religions who recognize the power of their story. Even today, the mystery remains. If you go to the Ephesus in modern-day Turkey, you can visit the Grotto of the Seven Sleepers. You will see hundreds of graves carved into the rock, people who wanted to be buried near those virtuous men. But despite the history, the ruins, the actual bodies have never been found. This has led to a worldwide search. There is another cave that fits the descriptions of the sun's path perfectly. In other countries, there are more. It raises a haunting question. Are they still there? Or did they simply vanish once their work was done? Many believe the sleepers are still with us, waiting in a cave that remains hidden from modern eyes. If you knew a place existed where time stood still, tell us in the comments. And also tell us, would you take the risk to enter it? History is written by statues of power, but it's kept alive by the shadows of the virtuous. If you want to uncover more figures who move through the cracks of time, hit the notify bell. See you in the next video.